The next section is a little bit unique because it goes all the way to the edges, just like our hero did, but it's columns. So let's go back and give that a try. Okay, so let's add some columns. Let's drag our columns in. We want our columns to be full width. So let's select them by clicking on them and make sure you have columns. This little box right here lets you know that what you've selected is what you've intended to select. Alternatively, of course, we could go take a peek at the Layers tab and we could scroll down to see exactly where we are and what we have. There are our columns. So if we have those selected, on the right hand side, we can go to the Style tab, into the Layout section, Width, and choose Full Page Width. Great. Now, let's put a background color so we can see that it's full width. Here we go. Let's try something kind of light, maybe beigey, like they have. There we go. That works. If you look at theirs, they have a little bit of padding. How do we know that this is padding on the edges here versus margin? The margin would be out here on the outside of it. So we're looking at the space on the inside of the columns, not the individual columns, but the whole group of columns. So let's come over here into our Style tab and scroll down to our Margin and Padding section. We have a 20 pixel margin on top. That's going to bump it from being too close up here. I think we should increase that because on the Everlane homepage there's a little bit more space in between elements. So we'll come over here and hold down Shift and arrow up and give that a little bit of space. Okay, if we put padding on the left of, let's say, 40 pixels, we can see that it pushes that picture in a little bit. And let's put padding on the right. That's 40 pixels too. There we go. On the Everlane section, they only have one picture. They don't have two. And then one side is copy. So let's go back to ours and make ours match that. So in our first column, if you select that picture and just press the delete key, now you just have copy there. I've grabbed some Lorem Ipsum placeholder text. So we can select this and I'll paste that in there. Now we need to adjust the font size because theirs is really nice and big. Let's increase the font size to 35 pixels. And we need to make our text left justified. And if you notice in theirs, there's actually a fair amount of space right here. So let's add a little bit of padding to the right of our copy. So we can come here and we could add the suggested 20 pixels, but I think we need a little bit more. So let's try 60 pixels. We can do that for now. I'm going to go grab a picture for this. Let's remove this text. Now I deleted it and the padding seems to have disappeared. That is because, and I can Command Z, Control Z to undo, that is because the margin was actually on this text block. So you can see here on the right hand side in our margin and padding for this text block that there was a 30 pixel margin top. So if we remove it, everything collapses together. So let's do that. But we want the space there. So what we do is we select the entire columns element and then on the right hand side down in margin and padding we can add some padding to the bottom. So let's try 40. Looks pretty good. Just remember that padding is the inside of the object. So here's padding. If I do Shift arrow up, you can see it gets bigger and bigger on the bottom. All right, let's go back to 40. But if I do, let's say the margin top, where we have that 60 pixel margin top, and if we hover here over top of the columns, we can see it. If I increase it by Shift up arrow, you can see that it moves it down the page. So let's put that back. Let's see what's next on the Everlane page. They have a lot of padding here. We can do that too very quickly here in our margins and padding. Because that space is inside of this beige area, that's padding. If you think of padding kind of like padding a pillow, if you have a few pillows on the sofa, the padding is how much of the stuffing you put in them, and the margin would be the spacing between your pillows. How about 40 pixel padding on top? And they really seem to have a lot on the bottom part, so let's try 120 pixels. We could probably even go further, but you get the point. You can play with these sizes very quickly over on the right hand side in your margin and padding area. That completes part 4 of the Getting Started. Continue on to step 5 to learn how to create the next part of the page.